Broadcasting live from sunny South Florida, and the best way to start your Saturday. This is KMA Talk Radio, life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. And now your KMA crew. The man with the scoop, William Cooper. Alex the Goat Tavella. And always telling it like it is, Honest Abe Dababneh.
I like to smoke them like the Winston Churchill. Like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar, yeah.
Good morning to all our loyal listeners, libertarians, and lovers of the leaf. We are broadcasting live, KMA episode number 587. Honest Abe here, along with my trusted crew. Our man, the GOAT, is away for the weekend, but we don't fear. We have our dear friend, William, the Scoop Cooper, always bringing us news, rumor, and teaser-free. And north of the border, the man, the myth, the mountain, the surgeon, as they call him, our dear friend, Joh McTavish. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing today?
I'm doing really good.
Also doing well.
Last 20, nice 24 hours I've had, so I can't complain.
Why? What happened in the last 24 hours? Spectacular.
Well, a few things. Actually, in this world of Cigar Coop, it was a good week. We got a nice shout out from Marlon Wayans that found out this morning, which was cool.
Really?
Yeah. Which
what was he doing shouting out to you?
we covered one of his new releases, and it's a verified account, so I'll say it was either Marlon or obviously his people that had that on there.
7.2 million followers. It doesn't hurt for the cigar.
It does not hurt. It does not hurt, exactly. We had a great show with Nicholas Perdomo on Thursday night, which the Perdomo Army came fully ready to engage, which was really a good thing. So it's been good the last 24 hours.
That's interesting because one of the reasons why we used to have our Meet Your Maker segment all the time, and one of the reasons why we stopped is we thought about it pre-COVID, but we really happened mostly post-COVID because during COVID everybody just started becoming available.
Everyone was doing it, yeah.
Yep.
So Nick and Trey, Nick Jr. and Trey have been doing the circuit, as I call it.
Book tour. We call it the book tour.
Yeah, book tour. After the release of Legacy, and we just had him, I think, on KMA 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Right.
Yep.
And it's amazing how all the people still come out to listen to them.
Yeah.
Listen, I think Aaron and I did that show Thursday night, and I'm not tooting our own horn, but we kind of planned it that we did not want to rush to get the story on the Legacy and have them on before they could talk through the whole story.
But don't you? Well, is that because it would help you figure out different content to ask?
Yes, yeah. It is more our style of the show. Our style of the show isn't to try to break a release of a new cigar on a show. More of let's get really peel the onion of this cigar. So, yeah.
I'm always afraid, or we used to be afraid when we used to have guests all the time. Is that by the time they got to us, even if I tried to spin it differently or ask more, a different set of questions or line of questioning, the listeners don't know that's my intention, and they're like, "Oh, I just saw Nick yesterday or the day before." So
we're careful not to make sure the guest isn't scheduling multiple shows in that same week. So you can get away with it if there's a little distance.
Yeah,
at least a week.
A week is the window. Okay.
Yeah, at least a week. But Perdomo's different because they come out. They come out for the family comes out, the company comes out, and the fans come out.
What do you say, Coop? Sharing is caring, right? And
sharing is caring.
Job of supporting the brands that support them, and it sounds something. Yeah. It sounds really simple, but I'll tell you, getting a share from the Perdomo Army makes a massive difference.
You want to know why their shows are getting 5-digit viewership versus your show maybe getting less than 1,000? I'm going to tell you the reason why. They have a reach, and they use that reach, and it helps us. We have a reach too. Don't get me wrong, our reach is good, but when we can extend the reach, like John said, then it's a beautiful thing to see, and that's why their numbers are just. And they do a great job at mobilizing everyone to come out for that. They did it. Abe went on a Saturday show we were on actually too.
Yeah, the comments for that show were. I mean, if you go back and look at the KMA comments for that show, that's the telling factor.
Yeah, it was a tremendous show, and we had him on a few weeks ago too, Abe, and like I said, that's enough time in that case, and he's a great kid, Nicholas, and he's really we like I said, we hit him up with a lot of good questions. I thought I came out of the show saying we did what I wanted to do on that show. Sometimes I'll come out and say I kind of struck out. Not on this one. I thought this one went well.
I'm not gonna come out and say who's who, but I'm typically okay. So let me rephrase this before I even state it.
Right.
You like that? I'm already retracting before I say it.
Pre-retraction, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So let me phrase this properly. Let me say that. I love the concept of the next generation coming into the business. Now, I'll say it. I seldom like it. I seldom. What's the words I want to say? I seldom find the next generation to be as passionate or as knowledgeable, and I'm usually not impressed with this next generation. But that's not the case with Trey.
No.
But I think that part of that is the upbringing, because Nick's the type of guy where you're sweeping the floor, that's where you're starting out. You're learning every aspect of the business. Everybody in the family works, so the work ethic is there, the passion's there, and I think when that happens, as you look like with Carlito Fuente, obviously some people forget that Carlito Fuente is, his dad started the company pretty much primarily and got it going. But when you do see it happen, I think it works out magically when it works out great.
Yeah.
But there's a handful in my career I've seen the next generation, and it's just I would like to call it a travesty or a tragedy.
It is, unfortunately. I agree with you. And
Yeah,
go ahead, John. Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, I mean, there's no shortcuts. And I think, if Trey, Nick Jr., if he came into the factory and changed his name and the factory workers didn't know who he was, they would never have any idea that he was his father's son because, like you said, you're going to start sweeping the floor and then you're going to work up from there. And
there's no pomp and circumstance, right?
No, I'm not. There's no gilded bathroom. There's no felt curtain or whatever. Like, you're going to learn the business from ground up and you're going to learn it the hard way. And there's going to be no shortcuts. And, I hate to say it, but I think you kind of have to, if the intention is to hand the reins over, which I assume that's how he's poised it, then you have to learn the same way that Nick did, which is you have to learn every aspect of the business, and there just isn't a shortcut. And if you want to do it right, there just isn't a shortcut.
Yeah.
No, there's not. And
one thing that was really clear, this was clear when we had Nicholas on KMA, this was his project. And if anyone doubts that, listen to the interviews that I did or KMA did or somebody. He knows every aspect of what went on in that project, from seed to literally this thing shipping. So
there's no mail blending.
There's no like, hey, we're gonna say this is the next generation project. This was truly a next generation project.
And what people forget is sometimes, look, you could have the next generation, and sometimes, there's been a couple of them who are just downright assholes. Nothing from the parent like went downstream in the DNA pool, but look, I forgot my train of thought. Where was I going with that? Oh, sometimes you could have the next generation that has the intellect, has the knowledge, even has the passion, but they can't be that front person if their father, their parent, was the face of the company, right? Because that's not always something you could teach or work towards, really. Sometimes it's either you, and sometimes you find that generation, which I've seen happen a couple of times in the industry, where they're production people or they're in the operations part of the business and not really out there publicly. But Trey handles himself beautifully. I think it's almost like going back in time and listening to Nick Perdomo 30 years ago. I think Trey's got the full package. I think I think Nick could take a sigh of relief and know that I think the future of his company is pretty much safe.
About 3 or 4 years ago, I was at the TPE, and Perdomo decided to go to the TP that particular year, but I think it was conflicting with they do the factory tours. So I think Nick, who would normally be there, was at they were doing the factory tour. Him and Arthur, I think, were doing it. So Nicholas had just kind of only he's been in the sales manager, running the sales team, short time. He came in there, and I kind of was in the booth, and I watched him, and he was like a pro. He knew exactly. He had poise, he had confidence. You could see, and you saw a lot of his father in him too. And I'll never forget that. I said, I know Nicholas is going places when I saw that day.
Yeah, and I think the vibe from that was if you hadn't known otherwise, you'd feel that was like his 5th or 6th show running the booth.
That was exactly the case. Yep, exactly the case, John.
I think Eric Espinosa Jr. is another guy who falls in that category. In fact, I think he's brought a lot of innovation
to.
Stuff that Eric it wasn't in his wheelhouse. Eric Sr. He's brought a lot of innovation and marketing, and he has the knowledge, and he works like a dog, and he's got the personality.
Yeah.
He's guys, maybe not, as boisterous, but he's definitely got the personality. He's out there. So, there's good things for a lot of companies coming up in the pipeline. So.
Yeah. I think Eric Jr., as far as what he's done with packaging, he's kind of taken that company to another level.
Yep.
And he has become one of the best right now out there at doing what he's doing. So
look at how many packaging awards they get, right?
Yeah. You got to give him a lot of. So, and I think he can obviously go in so many directions too. So I think Eric should be very, very confident with Eric Jr.
I worked with him on the 601. I think it was Fubar that had the really cool slide top box you could frame, and then each cigar was in a paper coffin.
Oh yeah,
and all the 10 coffins next to each other made an image, and you could rotate them. The image would change. 4 different pictures were in one. It was kind of a cool little concept that we worked on.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest packaging projects we had with him.
Yeah. And another guy, I have a real soft spot for him, and he's kind of been a little more on the faster track, but I see a lot of potential with Lito Jr.
Aggressive.
Let me tell you, and I've seen in the last year he's building the ball. I don't know. So to become a salesman, I can see that. Yeah, he's aggressive.
I'll tell you. So I'm going to say it the way it is. I don't think I'm going to piss anybody off. But I had a nice this week. I had a really nice meeting. I went down to my father's cigars and had literally a 3.5 hour meeting with Pete Johnson. And we were talking a little bit about his career because look. One thing people don't understand about business is, where you're going kind of really depends on where you're at in life. I'll always laugh when I don't laugh. I try to help them out. I try to put things in perspective because I'll always get these patrons or whatever. They're like, they're in their mid 50s, or later on in life, and they want to get a cigar shop. And I'm like, why? Why do you want to start any retail business at this stage in your life? I mean, it's like almost going backwards. This is the time where, you want to slow down. You don't want headaches. And then they tell me how they're cherishing their moments with their grandkids. And when I'm like, bro, that shit's over. You want to open up retail, man? You're done. It's literally like a ball and chain. The best analogy I gave somebody I talked to was, all right, I said to somebody, you have kids? Now, Coop, you're going to relate to this real good, John. I'm not sure. You may not be old enough, but you got kids? Yeah. How many kids you got? 4. Yeah, how old are they? Oh, they're like 28, 27. Oh, good. Yeah. Imagine having a newborn baby today. His eyes went like, yeah, that's what it's like, bro. You're going to be up all night. You're going to be, you got to watch it. You got to take care of it. I mean, there's no infrastructure in place. It's you until you figure things out. And
even if you do figure things out, Abe, how many times would you be able to put you're let's say you take a vacation overseas. How many times is your phone on D&D?
First, let me
0 times.
Let me correct you. If you own a retail business, you don't vacation.
Right.
You travel. There's a difference. Right. We travel, but we don't get a vacation. You're on no matter where you are in the country.
Yeah.
So where you're on the world, you're on. So we travel, but we don't take vacations. And the reason why I brought this up is because, me and Pete go way back. And we were talking a lot of old stuff. In fact, I think my wife was with me, and I think the first 90 minutes or almost at least an hour of the meeting, we're just reminiscing about our career and people and stories. And, I can kind of tell, Pete's at the stage of his life where he loves what he's doing. He wants to work on projects, but he's not grinding. Pete's not grinding. And I think that's where LaFleur was. LaFleur, he was happy making whatever he was making sticks a year. They had more than enough money to live happily and do what they want. And that's just where they were at. There was no drive. That's not Junior.
That's not Junior. No,
this Junior was ready, is working and looking to take this company to the next few levels up.
He's got a motor.
He wants to level up the business, no doubt about it.
Oh, I agree. I saw it in him very early. He reminds me of my oldest son in a lot of ways. I always tell people, which is I think why I was always interested in that. And and he had to go a faster track, and there were reasons why that had happened. And it's a family run businesses. I tell people are very different than non-family run businesses. And I mean, my dad had he had a company for a long time, so I know that it's different. It's not nepotism or anything like that. It's a family run business that's the name of it. It's family.
Sometimes it's nepotism.
I'm just saying it's not always nepotism. It's not always nepotism. It can
be nepotism.
Right.
And that never works out, but sometimes it's like 100% nepotism.
Yeah.
Well, Vince, I'm getting there. We could finish our fucking story. Or would you like to run the show for us today? Welcome back, Vince Benetti. Anyway.
The anti-goat.
Jason actually started us off, everybody out there, and I'm going to start with my team this morning. Let us know, what are you smoking during your KMA episode?
Yep.
I'm gonna go last because I got an oldie. Well, it's not really an oldie, but it's oldie for me. So why don't you start, Coop? What are you lighting up today?
I went with the cigar of the year on Coop last year, Perdomo 30th anniversary Maduro Epicure.
Oh, look at that.
I'm kind of on this post Perdomo wave from Thursday night. Yeah.
What about you, John?
I struggled. I actually had to dig through the humidor, and I ended up landing on a Davidoff 50, the Special R Anniversario. Yeah, I know, kind of frou-frou for a Saturday morning, but
Ugh.
I was like, you know what? That's it. That's the one. That's what we're going with.
So, we have about, I don't know, I think my wife's got like 5 at least humidors here at the house. They're all hers, all cigars she's either swiped, taken, bought home from the shop when she's visited. And so usually I scrimmage through that to grab a cigar before KMA, and I saw one and I'm like, wow, I haven't had these in a while. So I think it's gonna be a surprise to a lot of guests. I'm smoking one of these, but it was very strange because I've seen this a lot in this industry, and then some things it doesn't happen to. But when we first bought this cigar in, man, it was fire. Couldn't keep it in stock, flying out, and it's just like dissipated. And I'm the reason why I kind of want to smoke it is I want to see anything, because no one's usually when aligned. Because look, Nick Perdomo will be the first to tell you he went through this too, where your whole line is having production issues across the board, and that was going back to when all his cigars were box pressed back in the day. But you hear about it, right? I haven't heard anything about this brand, and as far as I know, the production is still great and everything. So I'm just curious why it died out, because in my opinion, to date, still, I don't think I've come across. And with tariffs or anything, I really don't pay attention to the pricing. But this was the best $5 cigar I was smoking out there. I'm going to one of these. I found one.
Listen, Bear, I got to give it up. The Bear was on that cigar too. You and Bear were the two on that cigar around the same time. Tremendous cigar.
$5. Couldn't believe it. You took the band up this thing. No one's believing it's a $5 cigar. Yep. And we were flying to them, running out of stock, going out of stock, and it's been a while. So I said, let me revisit the cigar, because for $5, and if you're new to KMA or smoking and you haven't tried one of these yet, these Buffalo 10s by El Artista, it comes to 3 different wrappers. I'm gonna smoke it during the show, and gonna refresh my memory on this little cigar.
Punches way above its price point.
Yeah,
right? Really
John,
does.
Were you at the media compound when Bear brought those back from the show Florida, and we were smoking them?
We were chain smoke. I think we probably burned through a bundle in, I want to say 2 days. Like, it was, you'd smoke one.
Yeah.
You're like, that's really good. I'm going to light up another one.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. He was like, he had got a bundle, I guess, from the booth, and we just went through those. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I mean, this has probably been sitting in her humidor for a while. I don't think it's a recent one, but from the first draw, this thing's like wide open, packed beautifully, no softness to it, nice box press, tasting great.
I was fortunate enough to be able to go down. They brought me down. Artista brought me down to see their factory operations and see a little bit of Dominican. And I'll tell you, I must have smoked 60 or 70 of the Buffalo 10s, because he kept offering. He's like, well, what do you want to smoke? I'm like, I kind of want to smoke a Buffalo 10. And he's like, well, what about the Pappy? I'm like, I kind of want to smoke the Buffalo 10. And he's like, all right, smoke what you want. But I kept coming back to it because it just, it just checked the box every time.
Yeah.
I'm literally saying to myself, because, at this stage in my life, I don't smoke a lot of cigars a day, because I'd like to do what I'm doing now, really be able to enjoy a cigar, be conscious of it while I'm smoking. And you can't do that when you're working. You really can't. So I don't smoke a lot during, but I'm literally just saying to myself, if I retire, when I retire, and I'm probably gonna I'm gonna guess be at least a 3 to 5 cigar a day guy when I retire, right? This could easily be my, all right, well, this is what I'm gonna smoke pretty much most of the time, unless I decided I want something special or different, because at this price point, I could do it all day long. Like you said, you go through 70, it ain't killer to go through 70 when they're $5 a piece.
Yeah, I think for us, I think the year they put out the Connecticut, I want to say that on our list was the value. So it's based on the score, but then the score, is represented by the value. And it was so far in first place that we had to double check the math, because we're like, it's pretty simple math. You just divide the points by the dollar. And it was so far ahead that the second place, it was like, don't even talk to me about second place. This is number one by 2 country miles. It's a great cigar. It's scored well, and it's unbelievably affordable.
And like you said, it punches way above its weight class. You could argue they made that cigar too cheap, too.
Yeah.
You can argue that, yeah. But it's a great, and even for, I'm not the big craft paper bundle guy. I still kind of like how they, when they were marketing it, they showed the paper bundle torn so you could see it a bit, Yeah.
Well, they made those, I think, 50 count boxes too. So you
they did. That's right. They did make. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, a little more retail friendly.
Yeah. They did and you know what? That I like the whole. I even like the branding on it too. I like the whole buffalo thing on that.
Yeah. Look, in the world, how many times do we look at cigar bands and we're like, there's too much going on. The color scheme's terrible. It's surprisingly simple and yet clearly well thought out in terms of how the logo and the font and the color scheme, right? You look at it, you immediately know there's no decoding. You don't have a color wheel. You're like, which Buffalo 10 is this? Is this the blue on gold? Is this the gold on red?
Yeah.
Is this the striped red blue? No, it's the Buffalo 10 Maduro.
Yeah. It's clean. Yeah.
We had Ram on KMA. I remember he told me a story how they came up with that name because I always thought it was an interesting name, but I can't remember how.
I can't remember it either.
I can't remember either.
Yeah. No, I can't remember. It's a good question. Yeah.
And by the way, gents, while I'm running ads, which I have to pay the bills, I can't read comments because I can only look at one or the other. So if anybody puts a comment out there,
I have the comments running. So I'm weak on.
Or if you want to just talk about it, if somebody makes a good comment, I might miss it.
Yep. The sidebar is working pretty well today on here.
Yeah, we got an engaged group this morning.
Yeah, and it's funny. Gary made a comment, which is interesting because I was thinking about this too. Abe is the Buffalo Soldier today. Now, John, you may not know the significance of Buffalo.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yes, I'll let you go, Abe. I'll let you do it.
No, you go ahead. Continue.
So the original KMA theme song was Buffalo Soldier.
It was a remix version.
It was a remix.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know how I came up with that either.
I don't know. So eventually the KMA theme is an original. It's an original work. I remember when because Buffalo Soldier was so ingrained in my head for a long time as a consumer of this show.
I think I liked the rhythm before they even start singing. I just thought it was a great intro. It caught me. I'm like, oh, there's a good intro for a show here.
It was a good intro for a show. It was.
I can hear it in my head now. The old KMA episodes. And then one of our dear customers actually had a original song that he wrote called My Big Cigar, and it ended up becoming the KMA theme song for God knows how many years now.
Now if you changed it, it would you get mutiny. Like, yeah, if you changed this,
right? Well, that's kind of what happens when you get used to something.
Yeah. Now he's done it live, right? I want to say I heard him live.
He did it live during the digital experience.
That's what I remember.
Oh,
yes,
cool.
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
He might have done it live once or two at the Great Smokes.
But I remember, it was on the original digital experience.
He definitely did it live during the 2020 digital experience. The full,
that's super cool.
Virtual broadcast of the Great.
I did not know that story. That's super cool.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, trying to be a producer, and there you
go. It's tough.
We got. Oh, it's very hard, Abe. I don't envy it. So whatever you need from us, let me know. Let us know.
We've all done it. We've all done it.
I might miss maybe a sponsor ad or two.
The best is like you're hosting, you're producing, and then someone's sending you a private message and getting all upset that you're not responding to a private message.
I just met an operations guy. He's texting me. Said, "Bro, it's past 10 a.m. I'm on live. I had to send him that." It literally just happened. Like,
I have two people who constantly will ring my phone in the middle of the Thursday night show, and they always forget. So now I just put the phone up and like shame them. Like, you calling again?
That's funny.
Yeah.
At least my wife's getting better at that because I always put it on the calendar. But I don't expect her to remember all the cigar stuff that I'm doing. But this morning she was like, "Hey, you got your show and so and breakfast." I had breakfast all ready for her, and she's like, "Have a great show." So now she knows, don't message me during the show. If there's an emergency, come knock on the door. But if it's not an emergency, don't message me.
So next month, after 30 years of being in the business, I don't know if either of you guys have gone, it's going to be my first Dortmund show.
I have not gone.
Never been.
I've also not gone. I missed my
And
opportunity.
unfortunately, I'm not going to be going this year. That's unfortunate, but
You know, there was really never any reason for me to go to Dortmund.
Right.
But after the overseas #1, the success of it, bringing it back in and whatever, I'm literally going there to make a lot of connections with a lot of these
smart move.
Yeah.
a lot of these international distributors, because there's a lot of companies that make international only cigars, and we want to start bringing a lot of more of that in. And the thing is, what people don't understand is, like, when I cleaned out, because like when we did overseas #1, I literally cleaned out Asia. I cleaned out Europe first, then I cleaned out Asia. We're talking to Bahrain, and Europe is getting some more in, which we're going to acquire. But this is what you don't realize is, like, how many boxes do you think they got for all of Europe? Guess what their PO was for all of Europe.
Yeah, it's a lot smaller than people would think.
Oh, I think it's under. I think I'm going to say under 500.
Yeah, I'd say 250 or 220.
Yeah, that's about a good number, I would say.
200.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, so like when I say I'm cleaning them out, I'm not taking thousands of boxes. I'm 200 boxes. So I need to start building these relationships. So when I hear or I know something in the pipeline, I need to tell them, hey, listen, whatever you're ordering for yourself, I need 300 boxes. Yeah. So you need to add that to your pre-order, your PO when you put it in. So I need to go there and really start meeting people and building these relationships. But it's the first time going to Dortmund. It's going to be interesting.
I have never had a problem getting a European only release. Where I buy them all? In the States. But you've kind of, and there's nothing wrong with that,
But here's the thing.
I just got the EP Carril Noirs that were,
But that's typically some guy who's bringing in 5 boxes, 10 boxes.
Yep.
I'm bringing in hundreds. So
I get that, and I get that. I totally get that. Yes.
If I want to bring in 5 boxes or 10 boxes from my retail store, and somebody's traveling, he picks them up, he brings them in. It works. But with our base, we can't.
Did Saka know you were doing that? Because it was kind of funny, his reaction. Like they all started. He's like, "Don't blame me."
So literally, I could have literally told him to go fuck himself.
Right.
I mean, we don't have that kind of relationship. I just gave him a heads up. I said, "Listen, I'm just giving you a heads up.
Right.
This is what I'm doing." And he thought I was crazy. I said, why? I said, because I think people want it. Why else?
And you sold them.
And we sold them.
And you sold them.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
We sold them.
Honestly.
And there's a lot of other
I knew when we did that story on the news, Abe, I could see what you were thinking. Like, he's going to get these things. I know it. I didn't know you get all of them, but I knew you were going to get them.
Oh, I'm clearing out countries. I mean, seriously. In fact, Europe put another PO in, which they were expecting them at the end of July, so they haven't gotten them yet.
Right.
We have a standing PO order with the European distributor, and we took all of them. So whatever he got coming in is going right out. Right. No one in Europe is going to see them. So it's crazy.
The non-US exclusive that's exclusive in the US. That's got to be cigar history. That's got to be cigar history.
You want to know what's funny too? What people don't realize is because look, I don't know what the fuck the value of something like that is. How the fuck do I know? I don't know. First of all, I really don't know what they're paying wholesale. It's not like I got a price sheet. I don't know what the export and the warehouse and the shipping to the dock and the shipping here and all that shit. Right. All I got to do is factor in all my costs once it gets here. It's like 5 different line items to get it here, maybe 6. So, I'm trying to find anybody selling it. So I could just, if somebody's selling it in, England and it's, a $130 box and it's $300 here. I mean, yeah, people buy it, but then it's like, fuck, I don't, it's a shame that we got to watch. So nobody's selling it because even these people in Europe don't sell. They don't have online businesses. They're not even advertising. I found a few European websites that had Dunbarton products, but none of them even carried overseas.
Yeah.
So I couldn't figure out if the retail was good or not. So, and in fact, I think the first order, I think if I had priced it right in our normal margin, I think it would have been like 35, maybe $30 to $35 more than what we sold it for. And I just didn't want to break that $300 price point.
Yeah,
I think we put it up at $295 and said we're just going to eat a little margin and try to keep it under $300, thinking that hopefully we'll sell them all. Fucking they still all went.
Yeah, Abe, and anyone criticizes you for doing that, shame on them, because this is business. And
What's there to
you're
criticize?
being,
You know what?
Abe
They
should have
cry.
gave it to you. You
They
know
cry.
those people,
They
right?
cry.
Exactly. They cry. Abe, you're doing just like with the protocol release. This is business here. You're running a business, and
Look,
good for you.
What's the number one rule in retail? If someone comes in with their money and wants to buy a product, why would you turn them away?
Well, here's the thing.
Meet the demand. Meet your consumers' demand. Yeah.
Listen to me. Here's the thing. First off, I bought like this before I had money to buy like this. Everybody's like, they think it's just easy. No, man. My first Anarchy order in 2010. All right, I had 2 podunk stores and 1 decent sized store in 2010. Okay, I built stores, like the whole store with that purchase order between the 2 orders, the initial release, and then after it got written up in Playboy, and we ordered like another 1,500 boxes. Went 3,000. I'm going to tell you something. With my connections today, and as big as we've gotten and our reach, I couldn't order 3,000 15 count boxes of an exclusive project. I don't think from anybody. That's a lot. We don't have a 1 million person mailing list, bro. I mean, that's a lot. 3,000. And I did it back then. And I'll never forget, man. I'm looking at this single invoice saying, how am I going to pay this? I've never seen an invoice this big from one company. Usually, like I built a store almost around that budget, and we just put them up. I never forget. We put them up Black Friday. I remember it was the first website we had. It looked so bad. It was so bad. And I didn't even know you could crash a website. Our website crashed all over the place. We put it up midnight Black Friday. I was so new to being online. I didn't even know crashing a website was a thing. And but we sold enough boxes to cover the bill before the bill was due in 30 days.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
But
that takes a little bit of that anxiety away.
Yeah, but you know what that is? That's balls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is.
If you want to be in retail and you're going to be afraid to buy, I tell anybody, if you're afraid to buy shit, don't go to retail.
Don't go to retail.
Don't go to retail. Yeah, and sometimes you lose. I mean, I got a big buy I just made, and it's the equivalent of what we did with the protocol release, but on a way larger scale, on a way bigger company, on a way more historic brand. Bought them all, and we're gonna release the news soon. But
nice,
I bought them all, and it wasn't 150 boxes. I could be wrong. I could be suckered. I could end up, and that's the chance you got to take, and you got to make the moves, and you got to get rid of them. Every time you go up to bat, you're not hitting a home run. You're not even hitting a single sometimes.
No.
So, but these retailers don't want to take chances. They don't want to be innovative, but they want to complain and they want to cry.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to promise you, they don't look at it like from Juan's business. I mean, let's be fair. Juan's a friend, and we know him, but I'm pretty confident it's okay to say that it's neither one of those two guys' full-time job. And maybe not even a part-time job for one of those two guys. I mean, they got a company, they're doing however they're doing it. Right. So the guys that are complaining are the guys who wanted 3 boxes.
Yep.
5 boxes. These guys don't want, they want to get that 150 in and out, be done with it, be able to pay their bill, be over with it. But the guys who are crying are the guys that, well, I wanted my 3 boxes for my store and whatever. And I get it, but and look, and here's the thing too, when you're in this game, you don't always win, but it's okay. I've never won at everything, man. I've been outwitted by other retailers. I've been outmarketed by other retailers. Other retailers have done things way better than I have historically on a lot of things. But you look and you learn.
Great comment from Ben there. Scared money doesn't make money.
Absolutely.
That's the truth.
Yep.
That's
absolutely.
The truth. What's the biggest chance? Well, yeah, I don't know if you mean I don't know if you mean in the cigar industry. I've lost on a couple things, but in the cigar industry, the biggest chance. You know what? So here's the thing. That's a great question. Because what I will tell you is this. I'm not sure if I could tell you something that was I lost. It was a big chance I lost. I have taken big chances that sucked, but then we work at it.
Yeah.
Even the first 2 great smokes were failures. And by any standards, if you looked at it from financial perspective, from attendance perspective, I think the first Great Smoke, we had 200 and some people. I probably gave away half the tickets just so the other half, 200, we get to 200 and some people, So, I don't know if I have anything I could say that was really like a big loss or a big mistake that stayed that way, because when you do it, you product wise, I don't know. I don't look at anything as a loss. So we've had micro blends that, but see what happens is, and this is where wisdom comes in with age. Something I try to teach my kids all the time. I said, you just don't understand the perspective that even a dumb adult will have on you because they've been alive 20, 30 years longer than you. That just teaches you things. So here's a great example. In my first 10 micro blend releases, there were 2 that were, they didn't go anywhere. But I learned by the 10th one, so I didn't order so much. But this one I ordered way more. It was around for years. Fuck, they were just.
I know which one it is because I think it was one of the best ones too.
But see, here's what you learn, right? So that in my opinion didn't go over well, and people didn't buy into it. But you want to know what? For whatever reason, like 8 years later, 6 years later, whatever the difference in time was, it became one of the hottest cigars. We cleaned out, and everybody's asking me for more. So it's just weird, But that was the Dunkel. Is that what you were thinking, Coop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was either thinking the Dunkel or the
Illusion.
Yep. Yeah, those were the 2, I think.
Those were the 2 not so. And let me tell you something. That Pactum, great cigar.
Oh my goodness! I think those 2 were, and that Dunkel was the broadleaf Oktoberfest
with the Connecticut foot, right?
Yep.
So it looked like a Dunkel beer.
It looked like a little, it got the foam head on the beer.
Yeah. So the Pactum, Dion made a great stick, but I think part of that problem is Dion's just not that kind of guy, right? He's not making buzzes or waves anywhere, and that's by design. That's not because
he's been around in the industry long enough to know that that's not long-term success for his brand.
Right.
That's not.
But Dunkel was the other one, and then we had ordered a lot of Dunkel, like a lot. And I think one time we, I'm looking because if you're in our Cigar of the Month club, I like to throw in a little bonus stick for the holidays, in December. And I remember one time I'm looking at all these boxes, dude, let's throw in a Dunkel. It's a great cigar. They'll appreciate it. And they loved it. And I think maybe that's what started the insanities. These guys all got this one stick. I'm like, where can I get more? And it just cleared out. I was just looking at, hey, look, I got these great cigars aged and sitting around. Great little gift. Not doing anything sitting here. Let's gift them out. Let's just give them away. We'll take a loss on them. I don't care. And it caused a frenzy and it sold out. So yeah, there's some losses. There's some things, but I think the true art to being a retailer, a good retailer, and I think I learned this from the grocery business because when you come from the grocery business, you deal in a majority of product that is dated or spoils or goes bad
at a very tight margin.
Yeah, at a very tight margin.
Very tight margin.
That's why when I hear people complain about the cigar industry margin, like,
yeah, 1 or 2 point margin. Yeah.
Well, a little bit more than that sometimes, but it's very small relatively compared to any other segment of industry. But here's the upside, right? Everybody fucking eats.
Yep.
Right. So not everybody's gonna smoke cigars, not everybody's gonna buy nice clothes or whatever. Everybody eats. So you're selling a lot more groceries than they probably a lot of other shit in the world. Yep. You really learned how to not sit on inventory. Yeah. And I think it's always been that's something I learned working in the grocery business with my dad that really worked for me well. Cause I remember going in. So it's funny we're talking about this now because we're talking about Nick Perdomo, and he had that bout where all his cigars were box pressed and there was so many problems in production, and he started to feel it. And then that's when he what any good operator does. You research the problem, find out what the fuck's going on, and you fix it and you reinvent yourself. And all of a sudden he came out with all the round cigars, got rid of all the box pressed. But the original Perdomo squared. Okay, now we're going to test how long fans have been smoking cigars now. He released it again like about 5-6 years ago. But I'm talking about the original one, which was a square box, and then had these little square corners that came out of each of the corner of the boxes. You remember those guys?
Oh, yeah.
So it's discontinued. It's been gone for years. And I'll never forget, I went to Jeff's place, Corona. I visited him, and he had them on the shelf. And, you know, I remember we were talking about, man, those things we were selling great. Now they're dead. I think I visited his store 3 years later. They were still there on the shelf. So, and I noticed it right away. And I think that's one of the things is you just got to learn to move into it. Like even before I even had an online business, we always had these big bins in my humidor at the end cap. And I think when I got in the business, it was 3 for $10, you know, 4 for $10 maybe, and then became 3 for $12 and 3 for $15. But I would take a loss. I don't care. Yeah. It's just not moving. It's taking up space. We throw them in the bin, and people would rummage through them. People would buy them. They would empty it out because you got to move that dead weight. First off, that dead weight's not earning you money. So even if you take that loss, that money can earn you more money by getting product that will sell. Exactly. And then you have no room to bring new shit if you keep all the old shit that ain't selling. And that inventory management, which is obviously a lot harder as you get bigger, or when you're a single store, you actually can control it better, is an art form that I think a lot of retailers suffer from having because they'll have to leave dead weight. They'll leave it too long on the shelves, and they will refuse to say, I'll take a loss. Yep. Right? Dude, give it away. Blow it out. Yep. Donate it. Write it off. Whatever it takes. Get it off the shelf. It's hurting you so much more letting it sit there than finding a way to move it, even if you're moving it at a loss. So
I mean that's Walmart's. That's everyone talks about Walmart being success. That's why Walmart is a success. They manage their inventory at a level that nobody else does. And for as big as they are and as big as their stores are and as much inventory as they have, their inventory control is so insanely tight. They do not sit on inventory. They are constant. Like the moment that inventory hits the shelves, they have a counter running. That inventory's got to go. And that's, I mean, that is truly the key to Walmart's success is they just have so good, tight controls over inventory and they do not sit on product.
Let me tell you something. I think any good business needs to have that type of an outlet. And I got news for all our cigar smoking fans out there. Okay. That outlet for our industry is pretty much all the big online guys. That's where the stuff goes when it's dead. Right. That's why they're needed. Right. So a lot of people, especially I never like retailers, they don't understand it, because they always despise these. And look, I need to put something in perspective because I know, and God bless, I love you all. Everybody thinks like I'm this huge online retailer. I'm not. The gap between my level and the level that people probably think we're at is so enormous. It's such a chasm. It's like a Grand Canyon of difference. I mean, if you want to put it into perspective, I think our warehouse falls somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 feet. I think CI's warehouse is like 300,000 square feet. So we're not in any, we run like we do. We look like we do. We'll act like we do, but we're not. So what I'm talking about, these kind of levels are, those guys are needed because it's very hard. It's not just retailers that strike out. I got news for you guys. Manufacturers strike out, and you got $250,000 in product is sitting. What's that guy going to do?
Yep.
And here's the thing. He could piecemeal them to 200 retailers. They'll take 10 boxes. They don't want to do that. It's so much easier to go to one of these big companies who will stroke one check and buy them all up. So it's part of the food cycle. It's part of the circle of life to have these guys. They're actually kind of needed because these manufacturers need that outlet. So that's what it is for them. But I got on this tangent because I recently discovered, and I don't know if this is a Florida thing. I don't know if this is a nationwide thing, but I'm going to give you guys all a big fucking tip. If there's one in the area and you haven't heard of it, I'm assuming Dick's Sporting Goods is a national company. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're east. They're a lot on the east, but yeah, I think they are.
Have you ever heard of this thing called Going, Going, Gone? So there's there's one not too far from my house.
I know a book like that.
And it's owned by Dick's Sporting Goods. And basically what they're doing is anything that didn't sell, they got a lot of inventory. They just bring it there. Okay. Somebody told me about it. I'm like, let me go check this out. Okay. Because I'm playing racquetball and pickleball with my daughter, and I don't have any gym shorts anymore because they're all like fucking Alibaba tents on me now. So I had to go buy a couple gym shorts, right? And, fucking, if I go to the old Big and Tall store, fucking every short's like 40, 50, $60 for a pair of gym shorts. Get the fuck out of here. So I go to this place. I shit you not. It's a no frills place. I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's kind of dickish looking. So you kind of feel like maybe you're in a Dick's, but not as nice. But like, shit's just on racks. You got to hunt your own shit down. There ain't no customer service, whatever. But I'm going to tell you something. I bought 5 pairs of gym shorts. 5. Okay. Under Armour, Head, for $60.
Oh.
Now, I'm going to tell you what's even more impressive. Okay. One of those was a really nice pair of, I think it was Under Armour, that was normally like $59.95. Because they have the original tags on these. They had it marked down to $30. So one of those 5 pairs was $30. And the rest all added up for another $30. 5 pairs of shorts. I told my wife, these kids go nowhere else anyway ever again. They want shoes, they want shit, you're taking them to going, gone. Shoes, they got everything. They got golf clubs, they got equipment, they got everything. So if you're anywhere, like if you guys know Dick's Sporting Goods, find out if there's a going, gone there, man. It's insane. But once again, back to our point, retail needs these outlets. So it's just how it goes. And here's a great point by a friend retailer of ours, and this is a true statement. People don't realize economics, right?
Yep.
That's exactly what would happen, because they would have to increase prices to subsidize their mass losses.
Yep.
And every cigar company's got a dog. I don't care who the fuck you are. Let me rephrase that. Every cigar company's got dogs. When Drew Estate, or who else just recently did, Alec Brown, when they discontinue 42 SKUs of something, what do you think? Are they all sold out somewhere? You know what? Do you know how many boxes? 42 SKUs?
Oh my goodness.
It's an insane amount of cigars.
When consumers hear that, they think, it's 42 brands, not a big. No, man. 42 SKUs is the gajillion boxes.
Gajillion.
What do you think they're doing with them? You think they're calling Billy and Bobby and Betty and Johnny and you guys want 10 boxes? You guys want? No, man, that shit's gone. Get it out of the warehouse. So Gary Brooks, I'll show you where it's at. I'll take you there. I'm telling you. I two things are pointing out: how ridiculous their margin is.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? You recognize as a
how
retailer,
ridiculous
right?
Margin is, because some of this shit, man, like you'd never know. It's like shit you would have paid $50 for, $60 without even batting an eye.
Yep.
And some of that shit, like I don't give a shit what you're doing. You're not making money when you're selling a pair of nice shorts for $4.95. I mean, just in transportation costs of getting it to whatever retail stores it was in, and then getting it back to going, gone, had to cost you $5, right?
Yeah.
So they just willing to take a loss because dead inventory kills.
I think they also recognize, though, because they're a smart retailer, you're not just going to go in there and buy a $5 pair of shorts.
You're buying
like
20 other things that they're making margin on. Absolutely.
Yeah. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you looked at their average, because they'll probably look at average, if they're a smart retailer, which I'm sure they are, they're looking at their average transaction amount. And I would bet money that their average transaction amount at the going, gone is high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because the guy will walk into sporting books, they come up to the register, they got one short, one top, most of these cut people, a basketball. They're coming out of the store, they got 20 shorts. They're going there with 5-6 kids, carts going up to the register, because, they're getting out of there painlessly. Going, gone. Google it. I don't know if there's only like 1 or 2 in the whole country and they ship them all there. I don't know. There's one in every major city where it is, but I mean, that's my new thing. I'm touting going, gone. You should be a spokesperson. Going, gone. But that's pretty much it in the industry. I mean, I think moving products, staying on top of it is key. And I think a lot of people get hurt by it. They get hurt in 2 ways. They not only get hurt because they're wasting their linear footage for it not generating product, but as you know today, look, most people who have been enjoying cigars for the last 10, 15 years don't know, but like, when I got in the business, we go to a trade show, most companies didn't have a new cigar.
Yep.
No, it's true.
Most companies didn't release a new cigar. It was just going there to buy. And hold on, what's even worse is, you know what their new release would be sometimes? Oh, we just added a new size to this line. That would be like the extent of let's create something new. it's not how it is today. Fuck, you go to anybody's cigar company, they got multiple new shits. We have 3-4 new lines in the same year.
They figured out how to do an LE too to kind of also check the box for a new cigar.
Yeah. So
which they something they grabbed out of a factory in a lot of cases.
Oh, here you go, folks. Boom.
Wow.
Well, I should give an affiliate fee. Stand by. I'm going to call them up and get an affiliate fee. Holy shit.
Yeah, you need a click-through link.
Right?
So talking about everyone eats. There you go. Get a little for the smoke in, you know what I'm saying?
Hey. But yeah, there was no new releases, and so with everything today and how many new releases, I mean, let's face it, an ongoing thing with General Cigars was the STG release of the week, right? I mean, if you don't move dead weight, where are you bringing in the new stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, my humidors aren't massive, but they're well above average size. I mean, they're nice size humidors, right? Well above average, and we run out of room.
Yeah,
we fight for room. How does the average cigar shop guy even offer a decent selection if you're keeping? I mean, the smaller my space, the more important it is that every fucking inch is hitting.
Correct.
And there's so much shit out there that if you're good, you can make every inch hit.
Yeah.
But it takes the work. It takes the work of looking at the data, looking at the sales, killing it. You know, I used to have I had to talk to my operations guy one time because, you know, if we're bringing, look, if you've been in a humidor smoking, you know there's not a millimeter of space in between boxes. There's no floating room.
It's because every inch is $1.
Every inch is $1.
Yeah.
And if we're bringing in like a line and say it's bringing me 9 new SKUs, 9 SKUs got to come out of the humidor. That's just the way that shit works. So my operations guy would kind of do a thing, and he would look at a whole line, and he would say, okay, well, this line isn't selling, and it's got 5 SKUs. We're going to kill that. And then I stopped him one day. I said, why would you do it that way? Because there's times because it only takes one customer. Right. There's times where you got 5 SKUs of that, but only 2 are really a dog, you know, or 3 are really. Keep the 2 to sell.
Right.
From another line. I mean, I call it machine gun shooting versus scalpel work. Right. Don't machine gun the fucking project. Don't go in there with a Uzi and just spray bullets, man. Take a scalpel, cut it out right, find out, see what's going on, you know. And you know, he's gotten a lot better. He's changed his philosophy on that. But you know, you could have a certain size or 2 in any line that all it takes is 1 or 2 good loyal patrons, and that stuff's one of your good movers in that store.
And sometimes, you know, there is an aspect of the 1 or 2 that are, you know, the anchors will move that 3rd or 4th box just by the measure of the fact that, you know, like maybe it's not carrying itself on its own, but if you have that 3rd box, it's going to sell because, you know, those 2 boxes are there. So it's a little pull and push.
That is part of the psychology, right? And one of the rules in my shop is you can't have 1 SKU of anything unless it's a 1 SKU, unless it's a 1 SKU product.
That's
you need put one on the shelf and kill it. I mean, 3 is the ideal minimum. If you gotta go down to 2, I'm not a fan of it. But 3, if you don't have a presence of at least 3 SKUs on a shelf, man,
it's retail psychology.
It's really tough for a brand to be seen and thrive. It really is.
It's very true. And you know, you look at the successful companies; they're the ones not afraid to do what you just said, Abe. Cut the ones that aren't selling. And you can go down the list of the top 10 companies, and they all do it, and they do it. They're ahead of the game. I think other companies are always afraid to do it. You know, like, oh, we're going to lose shelf presence, and it's. But so I think when I see a company discontinue SKUs, I actually look at it as a sign of strength here. Because something's going to always fall to the bottom. That's how it is, and you only have so much demand.
Don't get emotionally attached to the line. You just, you know, you need to make smart business decisions, and you got to be ruthless about it.
Yep.
I'm gonna have a little pity on Ruben and actually.
You're opening the door. You're gonna open the door.
This is the one question I'll grant him, because obviously there's another platform, but this is a difficult thing as a retailer. I'm gonna throw him a bone on this question. So I learned very early on, as soon as I opened up my 2nd location, and this is a great psychology for anybody. In any business you're in, don't think in the state that you're currently in. And what I mean by that is you have to think of, will this work if I get to 5 stores and 6 stores eventually, right? Because then you set shit in place, it doesn't work for you. So even when I was I mean, I guess that's where expression "fake it till you make it" comes out, kind of too, right? So even when I had one 900 square foot store, shit, pedants, right? I mean, we did more in 1 month of summer soccer than I used to do all year in business out of that store, right? So I refused not to have custom printed bags. I refused not to have nice custom book matches because I just wanted the appearance to be big.
Yep.
Right. I when we built our website, I didn't look at guys at my level. I look at the guys way above me. How does it look? How does it run?
Right.
I wanted to emulate that, because if you want to emulate where you want, if you want to go somewhere, look at where you want to go and try to emulate that. That's how you'll get there. So,
you know what I used to call that, Abe, for when I was doing 20 stores? I would always tell the store owners, it's called act as if.
yes,
Act as if.
great saying. Act as if. So that's not really a question for me, Alan, because I got to the point where when I had that one store, I was in there every day, almost every day, you know. But when you have multiple stores now, you can't be in both places. This question here shouldn't be a discretionary question. You need to have a policy in place that everybody knows. When you're not there, the guy who worked there knows. This is what we do. We do this for 10 cigars. We do this for a box.
Yeah.
And that's not a question you should even be asking. You should have a set policy, and that's how you run it. Because even if you're there every day, these guys might open up a second location. They may say to you, "Hey, we need you to go manage that store." Then who the fuck's handling the policy here? Now you're giving some guy his discretionary thought of what he's going to do. No, man, just set a standard policy.
Yeah,
that's how you run it.
Yeah.
Very, very easy.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Is it ad time, Abe?
It is ad time. I'm trying to prep myself. I got caught on a tangent. I got to find where the commercials are. Nope,
that's the producer in my brain is constantly clicking down. The stopwatch is running.
Yep. All right, here we go. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back after a very short break that we have to take. Keep it lit. Don't miss out. You're definitely going to want your chance at winning some epic. Honest Abe here with the GOAT to tell you about Smokin's Cigar of the Month Club. Alex, tell our fans out there why our club is the best darn club out there.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you why. Because every month I personally handpick 5 premium cigars. No filler, no fluff, no fugazis. These are all premium, handmade, name brands that you can find in any brick and mortar store in your area. All delivered to your door for $34.95. And our average monthly retail value since the inception of our club has been almost $57. Another great feature of our Cigar of the Month Club, Alex, tell them about the ease of our Cigar of the Month Club. I'll tell you, I hate subscription services. It's always a pain to cancel them, turning them on. We've made it super simple. All you gotta do is log into your account. There's a little green button there. If it's green, you're active. You want to take a break, going out of town, simply hit the button and you'll deactivate your membership. Want to turn it back on? The exact same easy process. You can turn it right back on. We've made it that easy for you. Another great feature is our Double Down Club. Alex, tell them about the Double Down Club. We had so many of our members reach out to us who really enjoyed our selections every month. They wanted to know there was a way they can get 2. And we've made that very simple. With a simple check mark, you can get double this great selections every month and save $10. Does our club have perks? Of course it have perks. You want to tell them about the perks? As a member of our club, every month there's a special discount code where if you like any of the selections, we will offer them to you, so you want to come and get some more, you can get them at a special discounted rate for our Cigar of the Month Club members. And finally, expedited shipping. Tell them how fast we get the stuff out, Alex. We get the stuff out on the 28th of every month. Our membership bills on the 28th, and we get every member's package out on the 28th if it's a shipping day. 5 great reasons on what makes Smokin' Cigar of the Month Club the best club out there. Check it out. Peace. Hey, I really appreciate you doing the video with me. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I mean, you didn't let me get a word in, but
What?
That went great. It's perfect.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of KMA Talk Radio. And as always, Honest Abe here with my crew, the man that brings us news, rumor, and teaser free every week, William the Scoop Cooper. And from the north of the border, the surgeon himself, Joh McTavish. Our dear friend the GOAT is traveling and out this week. So we'll be holding the fort down. I don't name that jam yet. Yeah, we do not have a name that jam today.
If he lets me know, I can prep something. I didn't know he was going to be out there.
You would think he would worry about it just a little bit.
Yeah, I could definitely.
Just a little bit. Look, even if he reminded me about it, say, hey, because it's not on my radar. I don't do it. I don't prep it. Hey, I'm out of town this week. You want to do a name that jam? I could have done it the old style where we just play 3 seconds of a song and whatever. We ain't going to harp on that. But what I do need to do, I don't think I ran one ad after the first few minutes. I'm terrible at this.
No, you're good, Abe. You're better than me at this. I'll tell you that.
Well, it's really hard to do both.
It is very hard to do both. I'm giving you. I know what you're going through.
Thank goodness you don't have a guest on because
if there's stuff you need help with too behind the scenes, if Alex is out, let me know and we'll help you out with that.
Do you have access to it?
I don't.
Yeah. See, I don't know why we.
Yeah.
What I do like about this new system, because I that problem about switching the order, they fixed it. I knew it just had to be, hey, we didn't think of that. They did fix it. But what I do like about it is before it was a straight line and now it's 3 across. So I know I did the first row. So I got to get the second row of advertising in. But why is the image not lifting of the 3 of us? Am I hitting the wrong one? Yep, I'm hitting the wrong one. There you go. We'll get it sooner or later. All right. So we do not have a name that jam. So what else is going on in this week? We talked a lot about a lot of tangents in that first. It was actually a good first hour. I think
it was.
Covered a lot of
good stuff. If we could talk retail 2 hours standing on our head and we wouldn't even scratch the surface. There's so much to talk about. It makes for an easy conversation, I think.
There is a lot of things to retail. There's a lot of things that the retailers or guys who are just getting the business don't even realize or think about what they have to do. And then there's the other side where even just consumers don't even stop if reading customer service emails is like I'm telling you, I'm starting a memoir. I'm starting to earmark ones that one of these days I'm just going to put in a future book. But they just don't even realize like the economics of a situation.
Yep.
You know, and they just don't see things. You know, I think the best consumers are retailers.
Yep.
I really do. Speaking of Buffalo 10, there she is.
There you
There
go.
it is.
I think that speaking of my Buffalo 10, it's so humid out here. Nothing is staying lit. So
Yeah,
humid.
we've been sitting at God, I think our humidity hit 70. I mean, so people don't realize where I am. It's considered a semi-arid desert. Okay, so our humidity has been above 60% for like 2 weeks, which is insane, to the point where my house, I haven't been running my home humidifier, which normally runs flat out like 12 hours a day to keep the house at 40%. And my humidifier in the house has not run in 10 days, to the point where I almost need a dehumidifier in the house. It's insane.
The women have
You
to be
know,
loving it.
Yeah.
Sarcasm.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry.
Yeah, you
about
don't have to worry about
it. Well, I think all three of us don't have to worry about it, John. Don't exclude yourself from that group. But yeah, I mean, you know, outside of where I have to sit out here like this so I can enjoy a cigar, you know, my nephew's down here from Chicago. Really nice. First time he visited me, he goes to the University of Arizona. Really, really good, smart kid too. Going into his senior year. He's never visited me here in Florida, you know, especially alone. I think his dad came through here once or twice. Asked me if he can come down for a weekend before he goes back to school. I'm like, fuck yeah. But like the humidity is killing him because one is he grew up in Chicago and then he lives in Arizona. I mean, he goes to school in Arizona, so he's like, "You guys live with it? You live with this shit all year long?" I said, "Yeah, you know what? I go from my air-conditioned house to my air-conditioned car to my air-conditioned office. I mean, I don't sit here and bask in it. And the only time I think anybody's really basking, I mean, I did take him to Miami yesterday, and that was, I didn't have the heart to tell him, like, it was like, you might as well have pulled a nail off my finger and thrown salt on it before I'd probably really want to drive to Miami. And especially I'd already been there earlier this week to see Pete Johnson in Little Havana. But it's just brutal.
Yeah.
It's just brutal going to Miami. And then, you know, he saw the traffic down there. He's always like this. Like, yep, that's Miami. But I did stop by a place. I didn't post it yet. I don't know if you ever visited either. I don't know if you've ever been down to Little Havana, John, or not, but
a couple times actually.
it has to be one of the best Cuban sandwiches I've had. I can
Oh
remember.
my God, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Wait, there's a place called Sandwich.
Someone told me about this place.
Bro,
Been there.
Sandwich. Super small.
It may have been Lopez who told me about it.
Man, was it a good, and they have a couple different variations of their Cubans, but their original Cuban, man, because normally I don't like it when it's really thick or too meaty even, or they got really like bad ham and you get a lot of chunky gristle in the ham. And that's like an instant turn off for me. This thing was like butter. It was such a good Cuban sandwich, man. It really was. Sandwich. Anybody ever down Miami area? Check them out. I think they got another location in Bayshore. There's like a little like waterfront area in Miami called Bayshore. I think they got another area there, but it was a good time. It was a good time, actually.
Cuban coffee in a Cubano, man. It's hard to beat.
It's hard to beat it. Yeah, I usually will go there on Sunday mornings sometimes for a Cuban sandwich.
It's right in Little Havana.
Yeah,
it's right in Little Havana, not far from Padron. So
okay,
if you're down that way, definitely check it out. Sandwich.
Yeah, I want to definitely do that. I'm gonna, when my next trip is gonna be in September. So yeah.
So we had that for lunch. Then we took them to Bayshore because we took this like power boat ride out on the bay, and they took us to Star Island, showed us all the millionaires, cool. All the $100 million homes and shit. It was actually a fun ride. They actually like do donuts and this shit with this. I mean, this thing's going as fast as hell, and they hit a turn, man. It banks. You're like literally like this doing a turn. It was kind
Miami
of fun.
Vice style,
literally. And after we did that, there was a pizza place on my radar. You know, I'm going to tell you something. I mean, I've always loved pizza. Who doesn't love pizza? But I think my trip to New York, a couple of years ago, the first trip I think when I went and I went up to La Casa Grande up in Arthur Avenue. I think that trip changed me. I grew up that if you ordered cheese pizza, you were wasting
No,
time
not
eating.
not New York.
Oh, and this was just always my psychology.
Yeah.
Right? Who the fuck doesn't want toppings on their pizza? That trip to New York not only changed me, in which now like cheese is like my number one preferred way to eat pizza. I want to try slices everywhere. I'm in constant search of the good slice of pizza.
Yeah.
And there's a place that's got a lot of buzz down here called Miami Slice. Stupid expensive, but it's right in Miami, and they got this little spot and very little room inside to eat. But it's been on my radar, but I've never been to Miami. I mean, I'm not going way out of my way to fucking try a slice, but it's never been like anywhere when I've had to go to Miami near it. But fucking, it was like 9 minutes away when we were finished with this boat tour and shit. And it was like dinner time. Everybody's longer. Like, and my family kind of gets sick of me because they have to suffer my OCD of trying slices, but they all were all right. Let's go.
Yep.
And we got these. They make only 20-inch pizzas. These slices are massive. So we ordered one margarita, house margarita, and one rustic pepperoni, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. In fact, I got like half of a pizza or a little over half a pizza left from last night. I'm probably going to go have a couple slices right after the show.
Nice. Miami
Slice, pretty good. Now, is it something I'm going to go out of my way to go back to? I don't know. It was that good, but it was good. I mean, we're in Florida, so it was stellar. It's probably somewhere in my top 5 or 6. But there's places in Boca. I think Patsy's in Boca I would enjoy more. There's places that are a little closer to me that unless I'm just happen to be in the neighborhood, and I ain't going back down there. Plus, it's in Miami. Nobody wants to go to Miami.
Miami 6, but a Florida 9.
Yeah.
Yes, a New York 6.
Right.
What was it? Yeah, New York 6, but a Florida 9. Yeah, that's pretty much kind of where it's at.
I'm going back to New York next week, and I'm spending all my time in the outer boroughs. And most people, when they go to New York, they don't go to the outer boroughs. It's tough, but I'm telling you, that's where the best places like for pizza are in the outer boroughs. Like, you went up Arthur Avenue, so I'd consider that the outer boroughs.
Do you have any pizza places that are in your radar? Do you like have an idea of where you want to go before you head out to a place?
Absolutely. I mean, Staten Island, I think it's got some of the best pizza in the country. And there's a place called Danino's, which is very popular. It's been featured on, Portnoy and all that. It's a legendary place. There's a Ralph's Italian Ices like right near there. Best Italian ices you're ever gonna get. I'm also gonna be in Brooklyn for a while, so there's a place called Brennan and Carr, which has a dipped beef sandwich, which is incredible. So I'm actually flying into LaGuardia, for the whole purpose is spend some time in the outer boroughs, and I'll be at my mom's in Staten Island for the weekend. So, I'm looking forward. I haven't really done this in a long time, the outer boroughs, outside of going up for my dad's memorial, which I really wasn't the same vibe, obviously. So, so I'm really looking forward to this for sure.
I usually will have a hit list of what I want to do and backups because sometimes you're just not hungry or you're not in the mood for that. So I try to check off what I can when I do a trip. Yeah,
it's a great Chinese restaurant that's been around for 50 years on Staten Island. It's called Jade Island. I mean, they have the best wonton soup I've ever had. It's on my list to go there. I'm probably not spending any time in Manhattan on this trip. So if I go to Manhattan, it'll be a one-off, but I don't think that's going to happen.
John, are you a foodie? Are you a guy? You are. Okay.
Yeah, Coop and I, whenever we're together, it's just not. It's non. I mean, people think it's nonstop cigar talk, but honestly, it's nonstop food talk.
Remember the ramen incident in Vegas, John, where you wanted to go to this ramen place. It was just such you felt bad how it wasn't your fault. They changed the menu. They changed the whole menu on him. So, and it wasn't your fault. But I was still glad I went with you guys that day because I was going to stay back at the house. I'm like, I'm tired. I don't want to go, and you guys convinced me to go.
Yeah, went from probably top 5 ramen places in Vegas to just completely disappointingly average. And I think if people had gone there as their first experience, they would have been like, "Oh, this is really good." No, sorry, just
it wasn't a bad place. It just they didn't have the ramen anymore, pretty much. Yeah, they eliminated the ramen off the menu. Yeah,
it was. I mean, it was exceptional because they had just a long list of all the add-ons that would make the soup elevated to the next level. Yeah. And they took all that stuff away, and the broth wasn't the same. And it's like, you're not putting in the effort. So disappointing.
Yeah, it was very. Well, I mean, like I said, it was a shame, but it wasn't your fault. Like you had no way of knowing that. till we got there.
Coop scares me because the majority of the stuff, really, I think we're pretty on point. We kind of agree on what we think is good
Right.
food. But man, you have some curveballs. Like, what? Like, you'll talk about something like, oh, bro, that's so not good. So not good. My favorite, I think one of my favorite episodes, I don't know if you were on our show or we were on your show. I was on your show. I can't remember. But I think you sent your son out to get Taco Bell.
That was on my show.
That was during the show.
He goes, hey, you want Taco Bell? I'm like, yeah, why not? And
I'd have to be like really hurting at this age to really get a Taco Bell. I'd have to be really like dying of hunger. I don't care what time. No, I couldn't even get. Look, there's things like my son's age, right? Where you fucking eat anything. You'll eat dirt off the ground. You don't give a fucking shit, And then you get a certain age where food becomes acceptable only if you're wasted or intoxicated beyond a certain point. White Castle, Taco Bell, shit like that. Like, 2 a.m, I'm drunk. Taco Bell's great.
Yep.
But then you get a certain age where you get smart and you know what's in everything and what they do and what's going on behind the kitchen and the average worker. And you're like, bro, there's no state. I could be like hallucinating on some, drugs and tripping on acid. And I don't think I can bring myself to eat Taco Bell.
What's funny? If you go to Philadelphia, right, and of course there's always the cheesesteak police, right? I'm part of that. I'll admit that. But the two popular places that people know are Pat's and Geno's, right? And everyone will say, well, there's better than Pat's and Geno's. Yes, there is. But I challenge anyone to get a really good cheesesteak at 2 a.m. Because Pat's and Geno's will deliver that. Yeah.
I mean, look, I wasn't that. I think I went to Geno's or maybe I went to one of them ones, but really wasn't impressed at all. But I think people like your cheesesteaks differently. I like my bread crusty and hard. I don't like soft cheesesteak bread.
I agree with you, Abe, on that. Yeah.
I like the cheese all mixed in. If I get something and the cheese was just layered on top and melted on top and put it, I like it when they just mix it all in. It's all like this congealed of onions, and steak, and mushrooms, and that's a good cheesesteak for me.
That's when you'll see, and that's when exactly you say, well, there's no cheese on it. Well, yeah, there is. It's got
to be incorporated. Otherwise, the texture of the sandwich isn't correct.
A cheesesteak, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's a steak sandwich with cheese. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Yes.
You either have a cheesesteak or you got a steak sandwich with cheese. If you think they're the same thing, you're not at my level.
They're not the same level. That's what Terrence got into trouble. That's what Terrence got in the way. His whole,
Yeah, I've been cooking since
even a steak. That was like dog meat on a fucking bun. I don't know what the fuck that was.
The thing is, the place he went to, that cheesesteak actually isn't that bad. The problem is it just doesn't photo well because of the way they don't chop the steak up really. So that's the problem.
Chopping them up, ain't a cheesesteak in my book.
I mean, the problem is it's basically strips in that one. Yeah,
I'm not from Philly. I have zero authority to talk about cheesesteak. Right. Like none. I'm just telling you what I like personally.
Yep. I mean, let's put it like this. The place I sent the dojo guys to, I told them to go to this place. It's a hole-in-the-wall place. I said, it's the best cheesesteak you'll ever have. I'll refund your money if you guys don't like it. And now it's a staple. They go to John's Roast Pork. So...
I've heard about John's Roast Pork.
Yeah, they tend to win. And they have great roast pork, too. They're known for the roast pork. But they tend to win, like, all the cheesesteak contests in Philly. There's a few places, but they usually always are in the running, if not number one.
One of the cheesesteaks.
There's a hole in the roll. Hole in the roll.
One of the cheesesteaks on my radar that I didn't get to last time I was in New York. I'm going to try to get it at my next trip to New York. Is Bradley Cooper's place.
See, I don't know what they would do. Again, New York's not really a cheesesteak town,
bro.
I'm not saying it's not.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, you can't just take it out of the equation. I've heard so many good things about it.
I'm not saying. I can't really vouch. I don't know much about.
I gotta try it. I gotta try it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like a celebrity cigar, right? Like there's that aspect of part of me is doubting because how much are they relying on the the celebrity brand and how much is actual food. So Abe, I've actually been cooking, believe it or not, since I was 6 years old.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, like literally my entire life.
Why are we calling you the chef? How did you get the surgeon?
Well, it's a long story. We won't bore people with it, but yeah, I mean, I take food. It's probably the most serious thing for me is food. I spent more than a decade in the restaurant industry.
Really?
I thought that I was going to grow up to be a chef. until I realized the reality of what the industry is. And after a decade plus, I was like, no, this is totally not the lifestyle for me. But food is very serious. My whole day is planned around food.
Yeah.
I love food.
You know who is an incredible chef on my team is Bear.
Rare. Yeah.
And he came to North Carolina about a month ago. He rented a house, and I went up to see him and his family. And he made dinner, and he made shish kebabs. And I'm telling you, these were the greatest shish kebabs I ever had. He took so much care into getting the right ingredients. That's the thing. He really, he made sure he had all the right cuts of the meat. The vegetables had to be perfect. He made this sauce, this yogurt-based sauce, which was incredible. I was like, and he says, he keeps saying he wants to cook at the PCA house. I said, you're doing it now. You've been now recruited. I said, this was next level. I mean, yeah.
Interesting.
If you want to do it, you're doing it.
How are we looking on news this week, Coop?
A little light, but we have some interesting stories this week, I think.
All right, I'm going to try to see where the hell that segment is. Light, but interesting. All right, we'll take it. All right. It's time to, let me see. Do I have to get the ad off first? I might have to do that first. All right, everybody. It's time to find out what is going on in the industry this week with our dear friend, William Cooper. It's time to find out. It's time for the Scoop with Coop.
Hey, yo, what's my theme music?
The Scoop with Coop. Breaking industry news. Hear it first on KMA Talk Radio and cigar-coop.com.
All right, Cooper, let me do this. And the floor, this. There we go. And the floor is yours, sir.
You may be able to add more to this first story than I can, right? But over last weekend, a gentleman by the name of Sherwin Seltzer passed away at the age of...
He did not.
Yeah, he did.
How did that not make more news? Well, I don't know.
It was on Coop. It was on Coop. We most of the main places did have it. But the news didn't come out till like about Thursday that it happened. Like he died on Sunday, but we didn't know till Thursday.
He was old when I was young in the industry. Holy cow!
I didn't really know Sherwin. I think I may have seen him at a trade show once. But he used to be on Cigar Dave a lot, and he was really known for his sense of humor. And Sherwin basically, he had a long career, but he was best known for his career first at Villazon. And when Villazon got bought by General, he went over to General, and he became the vice president of sales and marketing. But apparently, I got a lot of comments on it. People, he was very well loved. This guy.
He was a really nice guy. I was really early in my career. I didn't, develop a bond or relation with him, but bump into him a few times, talk to him a few times. Just a jovial guy. Seemed like
he was entertaining. I remember on the old Cigar Dave shows, he was very entertaining, and this is before really the podcast era happened. So he kind of he retired, I think, in 2011 or 12, and he retired in 2011. So that was like the first year of Cigar Coop. So I think it was like the last trade show maybe I saw him at. But yeah, he passed away at the age of 90. Like I said, he retired in his late 70s. So
how old was he in his passing?
90. He was just short of 91.
It's a pretty good run.
God bless him, man. God bless him.
Yeah.
It's one of the things Pete Johnson and I talked about is because we were both very young when we met each other, in our 20s, and how even like during KMA now, like that's a perfect example of that name. You say that name, I guarantee you, less than 5% of the people watching the show probably even had a clue who this guy was. I mean, we're getting to that age now, man. What's common for us for knowledge is like it's part of this industry that's in another universe. It's gone.
It's really true. Like I said, he was a name when I came in, and I think had he been 10 years younger, it would have been a very different story. This guy would have probably, and I think, back then, even General didn't really promote the personalities in their company, but he was definitely a personality for sure.
Well, most vice presidents in those companies don't get exposure.
But
he did, like you said, with Cigar Dave, and he was known in the industry.
He was, like I said, when the comments I got back, you see a lot of people knew this guy. So, guys like Miguel Shodell and all that, they knew him, and he was a fixture in this industry. Like I said, I never had a chance to really talk with him. But yeah, he kind of retired and stayed retired, from what I understand too.
Yeah.
So
glad he did too. That's a nice, sometimes it's hard for guys to retire. I'm glad he did.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, he really retired to spend time with obviously the family, the grandchildren, and all that. So, good for him. And he lived a nice long life, which is good too. So I wish I would have had a chance. Like he said, he seemed like a very interesting character from when I heard him, in these interviews.
He definitely would have been KMA worthy. Let's put it that way.
Oh, he would have definitely been. I mean, yeah, I'm sure this guy's got stories like you wouldn't believe, and he did. He did have stories.
Most these guys do.
Yeah, I mean, Philizon was a whole interesting thing. That's where the Punch and the Hoya Monterey brands came into general from them.
Yep.
So, and he died, I think, right after Frank Lienza. He retired right after Frank Lienza died, and Frank Lienza died right early on when I was doing this as well.
Lienza?
Lienza, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to correct me on that one. Yeah.
Lienza. And there's another name, I guarantee you.
People don't know that name, yeah.
I don't know that name. Well, here's the thing too, right? So a lot of these people that we're talking about were way before there was social media, but way before there was even, forget social media, before there was even bloggers or vloggers or guys other than Cigar Aficionado who were even talking about stuff. So, it's so much easier to be known today than it was 20, 25 years ago.
When I came in, one of the, there was Pete was coming up, but it was like, remember San Lucio was like a big name at the time.
Yep.
In the industry.
Because he was shaking things up, doing things differently. I mean, the first to come out really in that format of a cigar, which now I think almost every company has a version of it. But but that was kind of his project, his baby. And then, there was a parting of the ways where they'll leave a family. We don't know what happened, but he did that whole tour with a little Volkswagen nub cigar. And, and Sam was a very personable guy. And, he tried to come back in the industry with the Luchador.
Yeah, he tried.
Hard.
I got to admit, he's the only guy who ever admitted to me he was fired. So in the cigar industry.
Well, it was not a good parting of the ways.
No, remember the whole controversy at the trade show? They literally had an injunction to keep him out of the trade show. He was going to start his own brand, and there was literally an injunction where he was blocked from coming into the trade show for 2 years.
Yeah, it was not a good parting of the ways.
Tarano was involved with the distribution. It was. I remember that mess. Yeah,
it was a mess.
Yeah,
and I think now he's got like a cigar club or something.
Yeah, it's in fact it's in Pittsburgh.
Is it a retail shop too, or is it
now? It is. Yeah, I mean, I went to his office a few years ago, where it was just kind of more of a back room, but now he's got a retail store.
Okay,
it's Stogie Bird. It's called.
Yeah.
And he seems happy. He seems very happy doing it.
That's a lot simpler life than being on the road trying to build a brand.
I think he really enjoys doing it, which is good for him.
Yeah, it's a lot simpler of a life.
Yep.
Good for Sam. Sam is always a good guy.
I like Sam.
What else you got going on this week?
Speaking of PCA, Phillips and King is going back to the trade show next year. So
they left?
Oh yeah, they left with the big four. Abe, you can say what you want. They're still a big distributor.
They are, but I mean, look, I don't sell a lot of their product. We don't do a big, well, I mean, as far as in my mind, they're a distributor. Okay, so that's fine. But like, unless you're legally bound, which I don't know what states are legally bound, right? If you're a retailer, I just had this conversation with somebody in Chicago because my brother put me with about a year ago with, I guess, his son went to school with my brother's son, and he knew of me in this industry, and he was going to be in Florida, and he asked my brother to reach out to me because they wanted to purchase. This is going to go way back, Coop. You may know this. Mitchell Hirsch's old shop in Chicago that was called Cigar King.
Yeah, the one with the pool tables. Yeah.
Yes, that was long gone, but yeah.
I remember that. I've been to that store.
It went from Cigar King, then Mitch went out to Arizona and did his own thing. Then his brother-in-law took it over. Then it became Big Mike's or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So these guys wanted to do this. So I sat in my office. I gave him a couple hours, talked to him, ins, outs, everything, gave him the best advice I could. And then like about 8 months later, I happened to go to Chicago and they had acquired it. I went in. My wife and I had a cigar. They treated us phenomenally, like royalty. Walked in the place. They were super nice. And I watched the business for a while. I gave them a few other pointers. Great guys.
Yeah.
But like, I went to go grab, I think, a Red Meat Lovers Club, and I saw the price. And I know what the tax rate is in Chicago, and it still didn't equate to me. And I said to him, we got a question. Are you buying these direct? Oh, no, we get them through. Why? Oh, it's easy. No, man.
It's not. Hey, you just call Saka. Call him.
Yeah.
Call him. He'll do it.
Literally. Well, we don't know if we, bro, you can't be in this business and buy through a distributor when you don't have to, because that distributor is making money on you. And if you buy right, you'll never get it cheaper from a distributor unless it's a distributor only brand, which they're, that's been their gimmick now to try to get business where it's a distributor only brand. So he was priced wrong. So actually I put him in touch with David Lafferty. I told Lafferty about the shop, but they're Kerry Dunbar now. Yeah, I think they got it direct. So Phillips and King has never been on my radar. The only thing I ever bought from Phillips and King's, and you're right, I shouldn't poo-poo it because there are retailers that buy from Phillips and King's cigars, which I never would. But the only thing I ever really got from them over my career is Dejarums and Canadian cigarettes and the weird and American spirits, and so I never really did any relative business with Philip and King. It's like it's been a non sequitur in like my universe of operations. So, but you're right, I shouldn't poo-poo it because they're a huge company. They do a lot of business, and there are a lot of retailers who buy from them.
There are a lot of retailers that have to buy from them sometimes too, because there are other cases where, and it goes on in parts of the country. There's all this territorial exclusives and stuff, and sometimes it's the only way to do it. Unfortunately, I mean, the soccer case sounds like it was a different case, but yeah.
Let me tell you something. Bullshit. If you want an account open, you can get an account open. Let me just tell you something.
We work at it.
If they say no, which some of them do, you can still get an account open. It's just how bad do you want it? Do you want to take a time to go sit down with a manufacturer, tell me about your business? Because there's one manufacturer coming up in this industry that I haven't a heart talk to, whatever. And by the end of the meeting, they were fully impressed with what I said, business I was going to run, my vision, what I wanted to do, and they opened me up. So yeah, you could really get an account. Even when it's a no, it's a yeah. I mean, if you're going back to post boom, there just wasn't enough cigars. There was a hiatus. Those days are long gone.
Yeah.
Those days are long gone. I can't tell you who, you can't get an account for. Look, it's the small shops. I get it. That's why I said, because some shops only want 2 boxes of this from this company, 1 box of this. So it's easier to get it from a distributor. But, in my mind, you're not a retailer then.
Yeah.
You're what I call a C shop. You're like the country club or the gas station that has cigars. If that's how you have to order, then you're not really a retailer, because that's how the country clubs order cigars. 1 box of Perdomo, 1 box of Padron, 1 box of. If you're ordering like that, then that's what you are in my book. You're not really a retailer in my book.
Well, hopefully it'll bring in retailers that may not have attended the show, this year. That's the hope.
I mean, that was the big thing. A lot of the manufacturers go to TPE to support Phillips and King, and TPE is owned by the same company as Phillips and King. So, but remember a few years ago they were actually trying with Venture.
Did they ever I don't see their strategy or even business even kind of aligned with the reasoning or issues that the other big 4 had. Did they ever say why or they just said, hey, these 4 are dropping out, it's a good time not to support this event? I mean,
I think that may have had a lot to do. They never said it, but you think about how much business they do with the big 4. I think that's what happened. And I think at the time too.
Okay, you're right. Because Santa Clara and the other things. So if they're not going to be there placing orders, then I guess go.
Yeah, so they were the last holdout. And like I said, there was the big 4, but Phillips and King left with the big 4. We don't like I said, they're distributors, so they're a different company. So
just a dabbler.
Yep.
Or dabbler or hobbyist, like I like to call it.
Yep.
A lot of hobbyists in our industry.
Yeah, you're someone who sells cigars. You're not in the cigar business.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Remember they tried their own cigar brand for a while, Ventura. That was when Giannini went over there, and but that didn't work. It didn't work. They were literally, buying up blends and selling them under their own brand.
Yeah, it makes sense what Jay's saying. If you're starting up,
then you're one of the fortunate few. Because here's the truth: if you can't afford an opening order, because I don't know what you think an opening order is. It's really not that much if you got nothing on the shelves. But Jay's right. A lot of these guys don't want to place an opening order. I think Saka, it's like 20 boxes, right, across all his lines. 4 of this, 4 of this. I mean, it's not an exorbitant amount.
No,
and if you're opening up a shop and you haven't allocated, now my number is old because I go back to when I had smaller stores and whatever, but if you haven't allocated $150,000 to really inventory,
Yep.
then
You're
you're already almost doomed, Jay.
Yep.
If you're getting in the game with that little edge room and skin, your plan sucks. So
Well,
yeah, I get it.
if you have a plan.
If they even have a plan, right? Yeah. So I get it. New shops, and if you're one of the guys that and listen, 6 months, okay, I'm gonna venture to say it wasn't that you couldn't afford an opening order. If it was only 6 months, it's because you didn't know any better. Because if you were able to start affording opening orders in 6 months, that means you just didn't know any better, which is another thing. A lot of guys get in the game and they don't know any better. You know, they don't. Oh, it's just so much easier. Let me open up and I can get everything from them, and down the road I'll work it out. I'll figure it out. And some people never get out of that. They're ordering them for years and years and years. So, you know, I think that's the problem is that, you know, you can't. So many guys have talked to me in my career about wanting to open up a shop, and you know, the first thing I go, all right, so how? Questions?
Don't open a shop.
Well, that's usually where it ends up, unless you're willing to acknowledge what I'm about to tell you. How many square feet? Okay, so they give me that number. How many square feet is your humidor?
Yeah.
So those are the two most important questions.
Yeah.
If you tell me you got a 3,000 square foot shop, but you're opening up a 100 square foot humidor, you know, a 10 by 10 room, what the fuck are you selling?
Yep.
I mean, you sell cigars for a living. The amount of money you could ever possibly generate will be dictated by the size of that room.
Yep.
You know, but they're afraid because they know they got to fill it up. So the psychology when they get in right away is like mind-boggling. I can't tell you how many times where like it's disproportionate, man. You need a much bigger humidor if this is your space.
It's always bigger than you think it needs to be.
Way bigger. And it's always way bigger, John. And they're always so far off. And the other thing is, so how much money you think your budget to hopefully build out the shop? John, when I tell you almost 90% of the time they give me a number that, in my opinion, you're barely building the store with that number.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost as if they budgeted just making the place, not realizing, bro, you got
that's 100. So like I said, we had a franchise, we had 20 stores, and that was just a constant conversation of how much have you allocated for the store build and how much have you allocated for your initial inventory. And the conversation was your initial inventory is off by, and I hate to say it, but a factor of 10.
Yeah,
and their eyes would just, and their eyes would just go wide.
It's that ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then they talk themselves into it, saying, "Well, you know, we get business." But no, you don't understand. When look, here's a perfect example. I made a huge snafu. So at the time I built my first West Palm Beach location, I think at that point, and I don't know how factual it was, but I think it was factual because no one ever refuted it at that point. It was the biggest walk-in in the state of Florida. Okay. Corona had bigger rooms, but they had no walk-ins. It was just like a whole fucking store. So I had the biggest walk-in, and it's really good on paper. But then you start placing your opening orders, you start putting away, and you start looking at this room, and it's like, this room don't look full, man. This room don't look full. And I shit you not, John. I shit you not, Coop. And Coop, you may have heard this story. And this is why I keep saying John, because I know these are kind of new stories for John. I took my first location. I started saving every empty box I could. And we had a system of where the real boxes were and where the fake boxes were in the back stock.
Right.
And we had the shit filled to the ceiling when people walked in because they needed that impression.
Right.
You want to open up a brand new store and you guys want guys to walk in your humidor and see more wood shelf space and they see boxes? Can't do that.
I have been actually solicited for boxes. I know that for a fact.
It'd be really funny because customers are like, "Oh, you got a box there? No, those are sold already." We had to fucking make up stories, you know, because they're seeing the boxes there. But it took me over 2 years, somewhere between 2 and 3 years, before I was able to literally weed out every empty box we had put in their room. At least 2 years. I'm going to say at least 1.5 years, 2 years before I was able to wean out. And actually, it was the first store that I had built. Okay, so I acquired the original Smoke Inn. So it was the first store I had built. So I grossly underestimated, but saw the errors in my ways really quick. Balked, made adjustments, ordered more, started filling it up. And, literally I wasn't barely paying myself or spending on anything because all I kept doing for the next year was building up inventory. Because people are going to walk in like, literally, I can't tell you how many times I've said it to myself. Yeah, I won't be here for whether it's a restaurant, because consumers will do that. Oh, this guy ain't gonna make it a year, right? You've already built an image in the consumer base that you're going out of business.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's you have to have product, and if you're getting in this game and you're worried about buying product, retail's not for you. You know, and I'm going to tell you something. The pressure of having too much product sometimes is the ingenuity to sometimes where comes up with your better sales ideas and your marketing and whatever. I mean, that's the name of the game. Coming from the guy who's, built a lot of stores.
Well, it's a lot easier if you're opening your second store, because at least you have the inventory to fall back on for the new store, where you go, okay, I realize all the mistakes I made for the first store. I have.
I got news for you, John. I made mistakes in every store I built. Because what happens is, so here's the reality people don't see. What happens is you learn from all your mistakes, so you make all the adjustments of those mistakes, but you make new mistakes in the next store. Right. The solving of some of the older mistakes creates other mistakes that you didn't have. So I literally, but this is why I keep telling people every store we build or built over the years, I'm not in the building phase anymore, but they got better and better, but there's always mistakes. There's always, I should have, I could have, I would have, I wish I did. And that's just part of the game. Not so much with the inventory and stuff, because that's basic math and numbers, but design, layout, spacing, that shit is always like, geez, always making a mistake. What else you got, Coop?
Last story I think we kind of hit on this already is the STG discontinued 35 SKUs, 22.
Bro, I was just making that shit number off the top of my head.
No,
I didn't even know that was a story.
Yeah, no, they did. They discontinued right after the show. I got news of this. They discontinued 35 SKUs. Most of them were under Alec Bradley, where there were 22.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't know about the Alec Bradley.
Okay,
my operations guy bought it to me today.
Okay, so yeah, they discontinued a bunch of not a bunch of SKUs. The only line I think that was really the big one that they got rid of was the "It's a Boy, It's a Girl" line. Right. But otherwise, for the most part, these were just sizes that they didn't sell in these lines. So they were eliminated. I wish this is my whine of the day. I wish they would communicate this to the media, because believe it or not, we need to know what's out there and what's not, right? And the other thing I'll say is, look, it is good news, because Eric Espinosa, I remember he was on the show and he said, no one cares about discontinued cigars. Let me tell you, discontinued cigars get 10 times the amount of traffic of new releases. The people are always interested in what's being discontinued.
That is like the Lanceros of this industry. So here's the thing, right? Cigars are getting discontinued because no one's bought the shit.
Exactly.
No one's discontinuing a cigar that sells, but as soon as you put it up on media, we're just, holy shit, there's a revolt. How can you be killing? Where the fuck were you when the shit wasn't selling for the last 5 years?
And you know what a lot of these sizes were? Coronas, torpedoes. That's what I'm saying. A lot, and a couple Churchills in there, but for the most part, they were. You look at these sizes, I don't think anyone's going to be. And a lot of the lines weren't discontinued. It's just the sizes were trimmed, and like I said, I think it's a sign of a healthy company if they're doing that. So you have to trim. Yeah, you have to trim that. So
why waste your time and rollers and production schedules and shit like that if it's not worth your money?
Yeah,
I will tell you this: when I got in this industry, the staple 4 sizes, you couldn't fucking carry a brand, have a brand, sell a brand unless you had Robusto, Toro, Churchill, Torpedo.
Yep.
Okay. Everything else was, who gives a shit? Good, no good. You had it.
Right.
Those are 4 you have. I'm going to tell you. Interesting enough, Toro's still number 1 in my book, right up there with Robusto.
Yeah.
Torpedoes died first.
Yeah,
and I can tell you why, because I don't know if it was legitimate. I mean, I get it. Maybe you could roll less torpedoes, but is it really worth $1.50 to $2 more a stick? Because torpedoes throughout our history of time it was always $1.50 more for a torpedo size. Half the time the torpedo and the Toro are the exact same fucking cigar. And by the time you keep the torpedo, you don't have much of a difference. I think that killed the torpedo. But shockingly, Churchills are dead. Now, I ain't saying they're dead across the board. Nobody smokes them, but if I had to rate it back in the day, it might have been Churchill's was first, Toro's was second, Torpedo's was third, maybe. I mean, Churchill's was like the size.
Yep.
Right? Churchill's, nobody cares about Churchill's anymore. It sells. I mean, don't get me wrong, but It's probably the weakest of the SKUs now.
Occasionally, you could catch lightning in a bottle with the limited or something like that with it.
Yeah.
And I tend to see the higher price cigars. It does maybe, there's more interest in. I don't want to say it sells better because I don't know the answer to that, but
no, they do. No one wants to buy
Yeah.
a super premium
Yeah.
cigar for a little
Yeah.
4.5 inch Robusto. At least you're getting a Churchill out of it.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
But yeah, Churchill. I mean, it's crazy how that size just like. I mean, the torpedo I could almost justify. You know why it kind of faded out. There's really nothing you're really getting for a torpedo other than a point that you cut off. You know. But Churchill is a shocker to me how Churchill just faded away.
Yeah, it has. It has. And Gordo pretty much has replaced it for the most
Yeah, big
part.
time.
I don't know, Coop. Do you think this is part of the reason? You think this is legitimate here?
I think they do. I think that is actually the reason. I am going to report on a discontinuation, and I'm going to get the information. So I don't know what the purpose of it is. In my opinion, why? Because like I said, people are interested in this, and I think you want to be. I don't. Other industries do it.
So let me ask you this question. Just curious, because you may know the answer, you may not.
Right.
Why do you think people are so interested in it? Because it can't be because they're buying it, really, because no one's buying it.
Well,
is it the I mean, let's face it. Some people enjoy hearing failing stories.
That's what I unfortunately, I think that's what
I hate to say it, but that's the fact, man.
It's the NASCAR car crash philosophy.
Is that is that what it is? Is that what it comes down to? People want to hear bad news. They want to revel in other people's failure. I mean, look, I don't look at any discontinuation as a failure.
I don't either.
I think anybody in retail or in this industry who doesn't understand the process, right? What's a good batting average?
Right.
What's a good batting average?
Would be phenomenal.
Great question.
500, like you're amazing, you're awesome.
Right.
But what's like a real good batting average?
275, 300.
So yeah, not even 3 times up at bat, and you do something, and you got a great batting average.
Oh.
It's the same thing with cigars. I mean, it's just part of the process.
It totally is. It totally is.
Part of the process, and it's not. Listen, it has nothing to do with the product.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the brand. A lot of times, it's just consumer driven. You know, the days of consumers when I first got in the business, where I could tell you what Bobby Orr smoked, because every time he walked in my store, this is what he wanted: a box of this, or this guy, or this guy, or Mr. Johnson. It didn't. Those days are over, and sometimes just shifts happen. You know, when you're the first guy to have a 60 ring gauge cigar, the only 2 guys having a 60 ring gauge cigar in the industry when it first started, and they're selling shitloads and they're doing great, right? But all of a sudden now there's 15 more companies with a 60 ring gauge cigar, and now your sales are plummeting. And then, well, what happened? Did the cigar change? No, nothing happened, man. There's just so much more for people to try of that size. So what you had now, you don't have, because you had a competitive market, a selective market, your niche area. Now it's more common. Things change. So it's when a size gets discontinued, it's not necessarily a reflection of the brand. No, hey, don't get me wrong. There are those where you looked at them like, well, I knew that was fucking failing out of the gate. Like, it, everything was wrong about that project, including the fucking blend. And there are those, but it's seldom those.
When Alec Bradley got acquired, this was going to happen, right? They couldn't maintain that whole
synergies. It has to happen.
It has to happen, right? It had to happen. There's nothing wrong with it. And people, I think, like I said, we do need to know what's in the market. And if you're telling us what when you're releasing something, what's new, you should be able to tell us what's coming out, in my opinion.
I would.
Same with pricing. That's a whole other issue. They won't communicate price increases to the media. And I even said, look, I've told companies I'm not looking to publish the price increase. I just need to know accurate pricing.
No secret.
And I've gotten companies like yelling at me saying, you can't know that. I'm like, what do you mean I can't know that? Prominent company, yeah.
As if anything in this industry is a secret, man. Come on.
Exactly. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And the price increase, that's part of business as well. I mean, it's just when Starbucks increases their coffee price, it's something that they get out there. So,
right. Well,
and that's our news for this week.
Is that the news for this week?
Yep.
All right. Please, if you get a chance, take your time, visit our friend Cigar at cigar-coop.com. Always teaser and remover free. And just so I don't forget, before you get off the show, John, why don't you let our listeners know where they can find you and what you do for them out there as well. Another dear friend of KMA and Smokin'. Please support our dear friend John. And you got the red carpet, John. What does that guy from Chicago do from Hot Ones? This camera, this camera, this camera, this camera. Go ahead, John.
Pretty straightforward. Developingpalettes.com, developing palettes on all the podcast catchers. If you wanna listen to some short but on the point reviews, everything's not going to be a favorite, but we do try to get an honest review. We try to keep it entertaining and light.
And they've actually had me on their show a few times, so I've had the honor of being on their show multiple times. So,
Abe, are we sneaking in the music picks? Do we have time for that this week?
The tail of the tape?
Tail of the tape?
I don't know if Alex made a video. It's funny. I asked about the other two. Nope, I do not see an Alex video. Boy, he really left town, man. That dude left. I don't want to bust his balls. I want to make sure that we don't have. Yeah, this is really crazy how they do it now. No, I asked him about, because the Pedro video for the Would You Rather looks the same one, but he must be just sitting in the same spot, because I'm like, you didn't update it. And he told me no, name that jam. Would You Rather should be there, but we totally forgot about Tail of the Tape. But I don't see a video for Tail of the Tape. But tell us anyway. You obviously came prepped. You thought about some of your favorite.
Yeah, he's prepped.
I'm so prepped. Coop and I have been talking about this for weeks. So my and I put a ton of thought into this. So I don't remember are we in week 7 or week 6? I think we're in week 7.
I'll tell you right now.
This is week 4, which is week 7. 7th pick.
Right.
Yeah, I picked number 7.
So Coop and I have gone back and forth endlessly, but my pick of the week is Knight Rider, not the new Knight Rider, the original Knight Rider.
It's worthy.
Yeah,
it's worthy. Knight Rider is worthy. I mean, everybody knows that song. It's still used like in social media shit. Dun, 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 dun. Knight Rider is a good one. Were you a Knight Rider fan? Knight Industries 2000?
Knight Industries 2000s, yeah.
I think at our age, who just didn't dream of having a car? Who having a car like Kit? I mean, really. Yeah. I mean, I think that's. I even think they make kits you could buy for your car that gives you that LED light in the hood, going back and forth.
I mean, I remember seeing it at Universal Studios back in the day. They had the car there, and I was just thrilled beyond belief to be able to sit in the car, and it was cool.
Yeah, good choice. Very worthy pick.
It was funny. John and I were talking, and I said, John, the songs that theme songs that I missed, some big ones. Like a couple. There was one. I'm like, this should have been on my list.
I stopped trying to think about it because you go crazy.
Yeah, there was one that it would have changed my list. I'm like, how did I miss this one? I'm wondering if you guys are gonna have it in upcoming weeks. So
I'm telling you, 13 seasons, whatever. This has been the hardest one.
Yeah,
by far. By far, not even close. It's been the hardest one for me.
Make you work for it.
Yep.
No. All right. It's that time, everyone. Thank you for staying with us this whole time. But we're going to end our Saturday morning in our typical fashion. We're going to ask everybody out there and our dear friends here at KMA Talk Radio, sponsored by the fine folks over at Drew Estate. It's time to know, would you rather? We got our dear friend Pedro. Looks like he's sitting in the same room as he was last video. That's why I wasn't sure we had a new one. Let's see what he's got for us this week.
Would you rather go to a cigar place that they have a great selection of cigars and no cigar lounge, or go to a very nice cigar lounge with limited selection of cigars?
Good
question. I think it's a legitimate question. It's a good question.
Well done. A very good question. Fits in with a lot of what we talked about.
Golf clap for Pedro. That was a good question. Good question, Pedro. Yeah, so I think for me, I think it's purpose driven. I think it depends on the mood you're in, because sometimes you want to go buy cigars. You don't want to go with a lounge, because look, a lot of times I've come to learn that very few people, and this is good. I'm not a consumer as much as like a normal consumer is of cigars, right? I don't follow the typical path, but just thinking about watching it, and maybe you two could correct me on this if I'm wrong or not. This is very interesting now. It's tweaked my curiosity. I think you go to a shop to either lounge or buy, but typically not both.
Right.
And the reason why I mean that is when I look at my lounge and everybody's sitting in my lounge, I'm thinking all the times I go out to the bar or the bathroom where I got to step out and talk to somebody on the floor. I seldom see a guy with a bag. It happens, but it's very rare, right? Like a bag, like he just bought some boxes and it's on the floor next to him. You know, they'll have a baggie. So, and you know, typically when guys go to buy, they'll buy boxes or things. So I don't know. I think you either go to a lounge with a psychology to buy or to lounge. I mean, obviously, if you're going to go with a psychology to buy, you're going to go to the one that has the best selection. You don't give a shit about lounge. But if you want to go to the lounge and hang out, you got to go to the one in the lounge. And I ain't going to lie to you. There are times I literally want to go lounge somewhere. I don't give a fuck about what selection they want. For instance, I'm on a cruise, right? They got that lounge in there. They got limited selection. I don't give a shit. I'm happy to go down there and smoke with a bunch of guys and see the same guy 8 nights in a row and hang out and bullshit with them a little bit. So I think it's more of a psychological state of mind that you have to be in at the time. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
When I went to Dubai, I wanted to go to the lounges. Right. So that was kind of an exception to the rule because they have some very unique lounges and all that. So I wasn't really looking to, and I knew the cigars were expensive there. So I think it's somewhat sometimes the scenario you're in. If you know there's really good lounges and you want to check it out, and typically it's like I said, I'm not reviewing cigars when I'm away or anything like that. So most of the time I want more interested in the selection, obviously. And if it's a big like cigar store, I know there's going to be something I can find, and chances are they have their own stuff there as well.
How about you, John?
Yeah, it's an easy pick for me because we don't have lounges up here, so
that's right. Oh my
no lounges,
God.
No lounges. So it's actually, it'd be weird for me to go into a shop.
Open up a private club or somewhere where people can get. So, like, if you're in Canada, you just can't gather nowhere for no reason.
You can't. Well, you can gather out on the parking lot if you want. That's usually how the shops do it here. You have a tent set up.
Hold on. Are you telling me that the cigar shops will tent an area in the parking lot and people will sit outside the cigar shop?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I've seen it.
So ridiculous that they put people through that. So in essence, you didn't avoid anything.
Remember when
it works instead of having it indoors? And look, I would have almost no problem if they passed a law saying if you want a cigar shop, it's got to be a freestanding building.
Right.
It's hard to fight that fight. It's hard to debate that fight. But you got guys in a tent in the parking lot. Now you're exposing everybody parking, walking around, all that. Mind-boggling. Oh, God, these poor guys. Crazy.
Yeah. So for me, it's a no-brainer because I want the lounge experience. That's the experience I'm not getting. So any opportunity I have, I don't care if the lounge is big or small. I'm so thrilled to be able to sit down, have a cigar, chit chat. And like you said, if I see the same guy 8 nights in a row, perfect. That's great for me.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool shit. All right, folks. We closing up another Saturday here at KMA Talk Radio. John, thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you as well, sir. Good. We'll be back next Saturday having a cigar. Probably have the goat back by next week. Thanks for everybody joining us Saturday. We hope you had fun with us. We had a nice cigar. We talked bullshit, learned maybe a little bit about life. Until next week, everybody, keep it lit.